Good morning. My name is David Kilmnick. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the LGBT Network, and I want to thank Congressman Israel for organizing this event today, and also for his leadership that he has exhibited in the United States Congress for so many years, and we are going to miss him very much. Come this November or January. And just to let you know, I was in Washington, D.C. the day after of the sit-in, and Congressman Israel did not stop working. I had a meeting late in the afternoon, and Steve came out and greeted me, and he really should have been asleep by that time for staying up all night. So thank you, Congressman Israel, for your just unwavering support of the LGBT community and really all communities on Long Island, and we're really going to miss you, that leadership in Congress. It's so important to Long Island. Also like to thank the Nassau County Police Department, and while the Suffolk County Police Department is not here, the Suffolk County Police Department as well. The LGBT Network has 4 centers across the island, here in Woodbury and Bayshore, in Sag Harbor, one in Little Neck, Queens, so thank you, NYPD too, and a new one that we're building in Patchogue. And in the days after, or immediately, the day of that we found out about Orlando, both police commissioners gave me a call to reach out to ensure that they would make sure that our centers and our community are safe. So we can thank the Nassau County Police Department, the Suffolk County Police Department, the NYPD, and of course all the first responders in Orlando for really reaching out and taking care of the community. So thank you for that. And also thank you to all of our panelists, Assemblyman Chuck Lavine, who also has been a champion for all communities up in Albany and down here on Long Island, and Councilwoman Edwards, also for her leadership. And I'm very happy to meet Lois, Laura, and Andrea today as well. And while we're at the LGBT Center, hosting the event, gun violence is an issue for our community as well, and one that we're committed to being involved in and making sure that that all of our communities are safe. I just want to give you a little bit of information on the LGBT community. As our U.S. government leaders continue to grapple with addressing gun violence prevention following the recent homophobic massacre at the Pulse nightclub. And I think it's important to not underscore that this was a hate-motivated attack. In a lot of the media reports that we see, they're questioning whether this was ISIS terrorism, or some people were questioning whether the shooter himself was gay, and the hate-motivated part of this massacre was certainly not getting the attention that it should be getting, because it's really underscores why this incident took place, along with having access to guns. So after this attack, we are calling for more stringent checks to keep guns out of dangerous hands. The Orlando tragedy, which was the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, highlights how vulnerable LGBT communities are to hate-fueled violence, especially LGBT communities of color. Hate violence has risen sharply in recent years, with a 20% increase in reported LGBT homicides in the U.S. between 2014 and 2015, according to recent studies. And of those homicides reported last year, 62% were LGBT people of color. FBI hate crime statistics tell us year after year that people are most frequently targeted for hate violence based on personal characteristics related to race, religion, and sexual orientation. And according to the Williams Institute, which is a research-based institution at UCLA, gay men reported being victims of violent hate crimes at a higher rate than any other targeted group. And these crimes are more violent and result in hospitalization more often, and also death. And yet, we cannot ignore the fact that transgender people are at great risk of being victims of hate violence because of their gender identity. And this reality is even worse for those who are also targeted on the basis of their race, ethnicity, class, and citizenship status. 54% of all hate violence-related LGBT homicides were transgender women of color. Now, we recognize the need to address the bigotry that motivates acts of violence towards LGBT people, and we also recognize that such violence is far more deadly when carried out with firearms. Any solution to the problem of hate violence, including anti-LGBT violence, must address the alarmingly easy access that bigots have to such deadly weapons. For example, under current law, people convicted of violent hate crimes can legally buy and possess guns. This is just unacceptable. With each new massacre, most recently the one in Orlando, we hope that the number of homicides has pushed Americans over the threshold of tolerance for hatred fueled by people who seek to divide the country, for weak gun laws that arm those with hate in their hearts, and for more than the 90 victims of gun killings nationwide each day, affecting people of all backgrounds, sexual orientation, and gender identities. Assault-style weapons like the one used in the Pulse nightclub shooting can be purchased legally in the state of Florida without a background check, as long as the purchase is made from an unlicensed seller. 18 states have already taken steps to close this dangerous unlicensed sale loophole. But in the remaining states, including Florida, anyone could buy a gun from an unlicensed seller with no background check, no questions asked. Under current U.S. federal law, people on terror watch list, as we heard from Congressman Israel, can legally buy guns, exploiting this terror gap. Since 2004, more than 2,000 terror suspects have taken advantage of this loophole. Orlando is the 6th mass shooting in the U.S. since January 2009 to be investigated as an act of terrorism by the FBI. Americans are 25 times more likely than people in other developed countries to fall victim to a gun homicide. And that's important. Americans are 25 times more likely than people in other developed countries to fall victim to a gun homicide. We urge Congress, and hopefully this can be done before Steve leaves at the end of the year, but we urge Congress to make a start towards stronger protections against gun violence nationwide by enacting laws to prevent known and suspected terrorists and those convicted of violent hate crimes from legally buying guns, and ensure that the criminal background checks are required on all gun sales, including online and at gun shows. And I certainly can give you our promise that the LGBT Network will be involved with our advocates sitting here at the table to make sure that these do come true. So thank you.